Hey Mom, how's it going?
Really good, Lindsay. Or how's your day going?
It is going good. I understand that you are headed my way soon. Excited to see you in person tonight. I think, are you literally like closing your computer and getting in your car and driving to my house?
I 100% am. My bag is in the car, and we are absolutely doing that. So I plan to have dinner with you. I hope that's okay. I'm hoping you're
Yeah,
cooking. You're cooking, right? Go cook.
I'm not
Do
cooking.
something. I'm
Nope.
just kidding.
The cook at the restaurant cooks around here.
That's awesome.
Well, super fun. We are in for a treat today. I was having a conversation with our good friend Rob Bowen, who I know listens. So hi Rob, if you're listening, I took your advice. And he had just gotten off of one of like the 1,000 panels a year that he's on. And he said, Lindsay, you are an idiot. And if you know Rob, you know he used those words exactly. If you don't have Jeff Arnold on the podcast, because he was on a panel where they were talking about acquisitions, and he was like, I'm sitting up there and I've done one acquisition and Jeff's done like 1,000. And why did they have me up there? They had him up there for good reason. But Jeff, we are so excited to have you on our podcast so I don't have to be an idiot anymore. I can be a smart gal in Rob's eyes. Welcome to the show.
It's an absolute pleasure. Both of you, thank you. I'm the fortunate one. I'm sitting here between two wonderfully exciting and engaging panel members with you. And so I'm looking forward to this. Of course, I did my due diligence and watched some of your shows. So it's super exciting. I'm unaware how our paths have not crossed before this time either. So
Me
let's
too.
let's unpack this. It's going to be a fun 20 or 30 minutes.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I absolutely can't wait. I actually thought that same thing, Jeff, when I did my little research to come here. I'm like, how in the world have I not crossed paths with you? And honestly, that is my loss for sure. So you are a very, very fascinating guy. I can tell you that. Like the more I read, the more I wanted to know. So if someone like me has not crossed paths with you, would you mind giving us a little bit of your background? And then I'm ready to jump in like you can't even believe.
Certainly. I won't go too deep. People have more important things in their lives than to learn about mine. But I would submit this to your listeners that I'm a really lucky hillbilly from Western Kentucky who fell into insurance, like most of us, 30 something years ago. And it has been the industry of all things sexy, exciting, and just plain awesome. And then I speak to a lot of young people in colleges today, from Ivy Leagues to junior colleges to regular colleges, encouraging them that this can be a really cool industry. From failing at theater and stand up to landing a job in insurance, and then I'll be real quick on the legacy I'm hoping to leave, right? So I've been fortunate to acquire about 40 different agencies over the years, and exited that and had a few exits in some insurtechs and fintechs. And right now I started a new firm in 2008. It's called RightSure. And we are known for our famously friendly humans. And every magazine everywhere bestows upon us the North America's most awarded insurance firm honor, because I guess we just win a lot of them. But and it's not because of me. It's because this wonderful group of famously friendly humans out here, and that has also allowed me to write 11 books. And so part of the book writing is really to transfer knowledge to the next generation so that they can get as excited about this as I am.
Well, I love that that is your reason for writing the books because that's one of the most important parts. As I'm sure you're aware, I'm preaching to the choir here, not teaching you anything, but one of the most important parts of running an agency is the transferability of the agency. So by writing those books, you're not only helping your agency, but you're helping like the greater industry altogether, which is very admirable.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Thank you so much. One of my books is that all our customers love is How to Beat Your Insurance Company, and that just is what it says. It's really get an agent, right? Find an agent. But the Art of the Insurance Deal talks about the agencies we've bought, and now it's not really kind of beat your chest, look at me. It's really these are all the ways I failed, right? Because one of the struggles that anybody that writes for a living or likes or tries to be an author. Although at my dinner table, I tell my children I get paid by the thought, leave me alone, I have to think, but they don't buy that. But one of the greatest, most difficult hurdles to jump as a writer or as a business owner and transferring knowledge to the next generation is to learn how to make a connection, right? And transfer knowledge. It's more so for men versus women. And I don't mean to be sexist by this, I'm just real that men, we have a tendency to speak to impress, right? Or talk to impress, whereas women speak to communicate. And therein lies a difference. And you can witness it at any stage or any event. The minute a man has a microphone in his hand, big words start spilling out, and we pontificate more and more. And it's just how we communicate differently. I'm not saying it's right, nor am I saying it's wrong. It's just real. And one of the biggest struggles, to tie that into your question, was how do we transfer this knowledge without trying to sound impressive? And then when we're in these kind of events like we are, how do you seek a connection with someone instead of just trying to repeat something that you think others want to hear, right? That's it sounds easy, but it's difficult to get over. So I'll stop there.
It's funny that you said that because, you've acquired 40 agencies, which is incredibly impressive, but it's also difficult. And there's a lot of people in our industry that haven't acquired any agencies. So oftentimes those are the people that I'm speaking to or that are listening to what I have to say. One of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten is you can take a complex topic and break it down so someone can understand it that doesn't live it every day and not make me feel stupid while doing so. Because it's really easy to talk over someone when it's something you're an expert in or you do all the time in anything. It doesn't matter if it's insurance, doesn't matter if it's tech, AI, whatever. And the fact that you've written 11 books, I'm telling you, you're probably pretty skilled at breaking down complex topics so people can understand it and consume it and grow from it. So hats off to you. But 11 books, huh?
Yeah, well, thank you. I can weave another story into that real quick, if I may. And it's not a plug for my book; these just align. So my latest book is AI Forward Leadership.
Yeah.
It's not another how-to of AI. It's about how to lead with AI and make sure you apply the right parts. But the point I wanted to weave together there is, I had to rewrite that 4 times, right? And it's a fitful experience because after you've written so many books, you start deviating into let me sound impressive and let me communicate how
Yeah.
great I am. And you have to challenge that and wake that sleeping guy up all the time to say, it's not about you. If you're anyone who buys a book will not turn to the second page if it's just about the author telling you how great they are, right? You have to make a connection in the first 40 words or they're gone. And so it is a learned thing is what I'm telling you, Carey.
Yeah.
It's lots of trial and error.
So honestly, it was that book I wanted to talk about, to be quite honest with you, because it's like the buzzword of all buzzwords right now that everybody and their brother is talking about all the AI tools. Is it going to replace people? Is it going to this? Is it going to that? And honestly, I'm guilty of that. Like it's an easy thing that you have to figure out how you're going to weave this into your life, how you're going to weave it into your business. But what I loved about what I think your book is about, which I have not read it, is how are you going to lead through this change? Is that true?
Absolutely. It's more about the leadership functionality and components of it. There's dozens of books on AI and what you should use or want to use. But this is also, as are many things that we do, a kind of a self-introspection. And so this isn't theater or talking as a college professor who's never done it. This is real life. And so I weave a few things in about how we've taken 100,000 calls using AI, right? And we've done 20,000 plus quotes, auto rate quotes, settled over 3,000 just towing and rental claims after hours with it, and how we leverage AI to do all of our social media posts, all of our blog posts. It's through a lot. And we're just scratching the surface, right? The real struggle, and the reason for the book is everyone wants to use the word AI or to say they're AI infused because we're all distracted and we want the latest shiny blinky thing to say we're part of it. The real challenge as a business owner, as an executive, as a leader, is to figure out what parts of AI work in your organization and where it will add the most value. And it might not be an ROI for your bottom line. It might be a value prop for your employees, right? Or for your staff. We're certainly looking at AI in everything now, but the real point of AI forward leadership is how to change your thinking or crystallize your mindset into thinking like a leader. Not that some struggle, but sometimes you have to be pulled out of the day to day and shown the entire forest and not just looking at the trees. And that means, what does this impact your workflow 2 years from now or 3 years from now? So I could dive really deep, but I don't want anyone to yawn and hit fast forward on your podcast.
Don't think that's happening. I'm pretty sure that's not happening. So before we leave that, as you thought about all of those things from your own experience, what do you think the biggest pitfall will be for people that maybe don't take the time to ask themselves those questions? As a leader, as someone running organizations, trying to navigate what's in front of us, what do you think the biggest pitfall is?
Yeah, the biggest hurdle or pitfall, I'll steal your word, thank you, multisyllabic pitfall, don't I sound important,
Yes, you do.
will be that we're adopting tech for the sheer purpose of adopting it to try to be tech forward, when in fact, that makes us tech shackled, right? You can think of a bunch of firms who reimagined their website and it was working great, but they just handed over the keys to IT or someone, and now it's completely shackled and no one likes it. And so you have to be careful. You have to be systematic about what part it's going to be in, what parts of your organization. And then what we've learned over the years, and this likely comes as a shock to no one, is you have to engage your people from the very beginning. If you're just going to try to deploy AI into already broken processes, it's just going to be more broken. So a great leader gets the buy-in first, understands that, look, in any organization you have, if you change something in your firm today, or if anyone does, there are three types of people in your organization, and you can take this to the bank. One is the early adopters. They're the people that are so excited, they're on board, and they just move forward with gusto. The second ones are a little more clandestine. Their arms are crossed, their heels are dug in, and they're telling you every point of failure and why it's not going to fail because they told you so, right? And then you've got those in-betweens that are like, I really don't know which side to go on. I don't want to be with these guys because it's probably not going to work, but I don't want to be with these guys if it does work. So you, as a leader, as a manager, someone deploying this tech, has to realize which part of your people fall into those camps. They're not bad. They're necessary. You got to get your early ones with your early adopters and then start recruiting the people in the middle. And it seems like, why would you take several minutes to tell us this? Because that's the success to deploying change in your organization. And technology is change. And so the simple secret of the book is, as a leader, we all are going to deploy AI, but you have to do it from a premeditated, intentional mindset, and very cognizant that people are going to fight you all along the way about why this old way is better.
And there's a ton of fear. You have to, honestly, if you can manage the fear, I think you're ahead of the game, and create a safe space in order to do that. And the only way to create a safe space is to be very, very intentional about the words you use, the approach you take, the involvement of everyone. I mean, I think that is leadership, is creating trust and creating an environment where everyone feels safe to try new things, to fail, to do all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I'll be a reader of your book for sure. Guaranteed.
I absolutely align with everything you were saying there, right? So it definitely resonates.
Yeah.
Yeah. The AI shackled piece is, for me, one of the biggest things that popped out when you were talking, because as independent agents, you're shackled by a lot of technology right now. You're shackled by carriers on what data you can get. You're shackled by AMS companies on what data they'll give you and your freedom. You are shackled by people having to enter data in multiple different places or have systems do it for you. So that it's really interesting when you really think about that. Where am I shackled? Just the newest version could be AI in a future year, right? That's a really,
Absolutely true.
very interesting topic. Well, I would love to talk about acquisitions for a bit, if you don't mind. So you have done 40 different acquisitions in your time, which is incredibly impressive. Round of applause.
Makes me sound older than I am, but okay, I will take your time.
I'm interested where there's a lot of agencies that are interested in doing maybe their first acquisition, maybe their second or third acquisition. Where are you finding 40 agencies and how are you getting them to trust you in order to sell their most prized possession of their agency to you?
Yeah, it's there's 1,000 ways to answer that, but you have to be real and you have to be relevant to them. This is their baby, firstly, right? This is their
Absolutely.
child. They have literally given birth to this, and this contains all of their hopes and dreams and their exit, their retirement a lot of times. And so you have to build a culture of trust. And I think if anything, we've done that, right? I would be remiss if I did not give credit to the shoulders that I stand on, right? This is no man is an island, and this isn't the Jeff Arnold show. I was fortunate in my life to stand on the shoulders of, well, many people, men poured into my life, but when the heart is ready, the teacher will come. For the first two men that tried to make me somebody, I wasn't ready, right? It's when the third one and the fourth one, I was ready and I realized I didn't know everything. So I stand on the shoulders of a guy named Tim Hampton, who's retired, living in Florida, teaching swimming, I think in his late 70s, or early 80s. Wonderful
Fun.
man. And he transferred, transfused, imbued into me his passion for this industry. So if I carry any light, it's because it's a reflection of what Tim Hampton poured into me. And then a guy named Chuck Sherman, who really taught me about insurance, also retired. And I don't mean this just to pay homage to her, but there are many times when I failed miserably. I won't even go into a lot of it, but I was sued for $1 billion, and we take a
Whoa.
huge company to talk about it in one of the books. And what I needed most at that point, when I had lost hundreds of employees and started over, was someone who believed in me. And that person was my wife, who said, "You're Jeff Arnold. You've done it once, you've done it again. And I don't need any of this stuff. I just need you." That means more to a man than anything, right? I mean, so if we can do just a bit sexist again, for lack of a better reason, or delineate the sexes itself, men do most of these things because we crave respect over anything, right? I mean, they want the money, the accolades, but it's about respect. That's a driver. And when you have that as a foundation from people, you can do anything. And so part of the reason we're able to do acquisitions, I'll come back to your question now, is I got to stand on the shoulders of a lot of folks. I was fortunate to have sold one of my firms in the the late 90s to a large bank, and I had their balance sheet. I quickly acquired like 23 firms pretty much using their balance sheet. So it was pretty simple, right? When you have a strong balance sheet, owners are very more open to sell to you, right? Because they've got a solid path to their exit. Now, I don't want to say how lucky we are. There are plenty of failures, and I talk about a lot of those in the art of the insurance deal, right? There are more failures than successes, but it's like anything. If I'm not a big baseball fan, but if you get up to the plate enough, and you're gonna have a lot of strikeouts, but you're gonna hit a few home runs, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. So when you were most of your acquisitions in your area, because your agency, I know your agency now is almost countrywide, right?
we're in 42 states.
And back then, were you also nationwide?
Yes, I would say I like to refer to it when I'm talking to our new folks that come on board. We were nationwide before it was a thing, right? There are a lot of agencies were bigger, they were regional, and this is 99 to 2006 and seven. A lot has changed since then, right? But I think we were in 48 states then, and it was really it was more difficult then because you didn't have all these licensing services or all these SaaS services to do it for you. I had a staff that it was full time doing that. Now the beauty of it is, you didn't ask this part, but this is great. The beauty of scaling an agency today is you can outsource almost everything. And I would argue you should outsource everything, because the minute you bring it in-house, guess what? They get distracted with a million other things. Reports don't get done on time. Shareholder notices don't go out. Accounting things don't get done when they're supposed to. Payroll is a scramble. If you want to be super successful, outsource as much as you can and
100%.
focus on what matters, which is meeting the customer where they are. That's been our model. I mean, we're not that large, but we don't do anything in house if we can outsource it. To
Yeah.
even include shareholder management or cap table management or financial reports, that's all outsourced. I highly recommend that to anyone.
Well, to add to what you just said, not to you know, speak of some people should use us for a fractional CFO, but when you outsource, they see more than just your company. They see other companies as well. So they're able to take knowledge that they are compounding, not compounded before they joined your company, but compounding at the moment and help make your company better, right? It's not just they're not going to get distracted, it's a lower cost. They're actually being able
Perspective
to.
you can't have. The reality is it's a perspective that's only gained by working with multiple rather than only being singularly focused. Like my father worked for a company for 20 years. He knew that company. And he was a brilliant man, absolutely brilliant man. Like, one of the people I idolize most in my life. He had unbelievable knowledge and he could take that knowledge to plenty of places, but it was in one company all the time. If he was able to do that in 50 companies, imagine what he could bring back to that one company that he worked in. And that is the beauty of outsourcing. You don't realize that it's actually perspective that you're getting, not just focus inside your organization. So couldn't agree more. And that isn't a plug. That's just think about it differently. I think sometimes people think, oh, I let go of, I let go of things that are too close that you should never have someone else to do, or I let go of control, or it's going to cost too much money. It actually puts you in a place where you can have perspective in a very different way. And the most valuable person is the owner of an agency. You shouldn't be doing things that you shouldn't be doing. One of the best things someone ever told me was just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something.
Very,
Right.
very true.
Right.
Both of you said that so succinctly and so well. I can't add anything to it. Absolutely agree. And I just challenge anyone listening that, your goal is to be right in front of, if you're not on the sales side, it's to manage your team, but it's to be in front of customers or help your people avoid pain points and their key frustrations. The minute you bring all these things inside, guess what? It's a time suck because now you have to have meetings with finance. You have to have more meetings with HR. It's just going to take more time when it's internal because there's that cross communication stuff. You got to make sure it gets right. When it's external, we have an hour meeting every 2 weeks on these things, and that's all it consumes. When I had hundreds of employees or even only 150 or whatever, it takes a lot of time in meetings just to keep all these divisions rolling together. But if you've got it outsourced with people who have expertise and are seeing other firms and giving you benchmarking, it's a much stronger series of reporting and a much bigger challenge to you as a leader and as an owner.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Jeff, let me ask you a question. You've obviously are an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, if I may. I think that's a fair way to describe you. You're an ideas guy that actually makes those ideas happen. But part of that is you build something, you build it to where you are and you've exited, and then you've built and you've exited. Talk to me about the transition from one to the other. Was there any of those that were harder than the next? And what advice would you give to people that are facing maybe a transition in their career? I'm sure you know this, but the average independent insurance agency owner is 56 years old. And we believe that about 20% of independent insurance agencies are going to transition ownership in the next 5 to 10 years. So lots of people listening might be in those shoes. What lessons do you have from being on the other side of that?
Well, none of it is easy. And my first agency I sold when I was just 29, but I'd been running it for 4 or 5 years. I laid in my hotel room depressed at Christmas time we were in the Hotel Del in San Diego. My wife's family came in from Europe and Mexico and Poland, everywhere, and we were going to celebrate the holidays there. I laid in bed with the curtains drawn tight and the lights off. I was depressed. So you're going to have a mourning, for lack of a better word, phase, because it is like a child. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you've worked so hard, 15, 16, 18-hour days. You've probably played beat the bank for the first 2 or 3 years of your career, right? I mean, you're not alone. We've all done this. And now that you've created something that you can capitalize and earn from, which is why it was done in the first place. It's time to enjoy it and make peace with the fact that it's okay to let go. It doesn't mean you're done. It's just another part of your legacy. It doesn't mean that it's you can't give back to other people. It's just a new chapter in your life.
Yeah, that's a great perspective, but it's hard for so many people. In fact, a lot of the agency owners that we're working with that know, like they know who they're transitioning to, they know that it's the right time to do it. They've got great faith in the people that they're transitioning to, but the problem is they don't know what they're going to do with their time. Like it's really hard to see yourself in a different role than what you've been in for a period of time. Any advice for someone who's thinking of in that way? And honestly, I was the same way. Like I've struggled with this myself, and I don't know that there's a perfect answer, but for someone who's done it a couple times, do you ever reflect back and do you have any advice there?
Yeah, the thing that comes to mind is a stoicism comment, like too soon old, too late smart, right? Like it comes at you faster than you want it to. You're like, I can't be this age. But the truth is, as you're starting to exit and you're planning to your exit, the most important part isn't the multiple, although that's important. Most of the people I know are it's generational wealth, right? Many of them are decamillionaires now that have sold, and even small agencies are 3 and 4x. And so it's significant money, first of all, right? So that part of your life is solved. Now it's the part about you're not worrying about what you did in the early part of your life. It's what's the next version of you? If you're just selling to sell and sit at home, you're going to decay and atrophy really quickly. You got to recreate the next vision and paint the future for the next part of your life. For me, I'm not slowing down that much, but I have a grandchild in Warsaw. They live in Poland, and I'm over there 3 times a year, and I'm like, well, I'm going to have to spend more time here because I only get so much time. She's 1 years old, about 10 months old. She'll be one.
Yeah.
That time's going to fly when she's 5 and 6. So the point is, we're all in these different life phases and stages, and embrace them all. You know in your heart when you're ready. I would caution you this. I see many people staying on way too long, right?
Yeah.
And they're staying on 3 and 4 more years, just a little more multiple, just to hire this. You're ruining the legacy of your company. You're ruining your stature in the industry by just hanging on. When you know you're just faking it and phoning it in, it's time to stop for your own self-preservation and for the people who've worked with you.
I would agree with that 1,000%. It's a hard thing. One of the best things about an independent insurance agency is the renewable income, the retention rate. But it also creates this, it's tough to walk away from as well. Like it's the blessing and the curse. There's a lot of blessings and curses. The blessings are so much greater though. Please hear me when I say that, because the blessings of choice in an independent insurance agency does create some challenges. The blessing of retained retention creates some challenges, but I could not agree more. Staying past your high when you're energetic, when you're pouring into it, is felt by the people around you. And those are the people you care about. So, I think in retrospect, that's some of the regret that I hear people saying is if I knew it was going to be this, I might have done it sooner. So, that's a clear thing. And when you look in the rearview mirror that you can see, but you can't feel it or see it while you're in it. So great advice.
Very true.
Very great advice. Oh my goodness, Jeff, I could talk to you for hours, clearly. And I hope to, but I will tell you this. I'm definitely going to check out a couple of your books. The AI one, tell me the title for the AI book again, just so we can repeat it.
Sure, it's AI Forward Leadership.
Yeah, that is on my list. I'm going to put that in. Hopefully someone's going to put that in my stocking, Lindsay. How about that? So I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. And I truly hope we cross paths at some insurance event very, very soon. I would love to continue to talk to you for hours, I'm sure.
Same. I quite candidly consider it an honor and a pleasure to be on your podcast. I've had a delightful time. Love to come back. Not trying to invite myself,
Yes.
just saying love to come back. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, the pleasure is ours.